to all our viewers for joining us in today's episode. Today we have Matt Scott, who is an artist from UK, and I'll let Matt introduce himself to begin with. So over to you, Matt.
Hi, I'm a sound artist based in London. I've been here all my life. I was born here, lived here all my life. I've been playing music since I was a kid, playing piano, and I took up the accordion. But I'm very self-taught though. So I bought an accordion when I was like 18, and so I've been teaching myself accordion for a long time. I have a master's degree in composing for film. I went to a film school and studied film music because I always loved film music. So that's the only training I have is this master's degree. It was composition for film, and it was in a film school and there were music composers there teaching, but it was specifically for film. So I love film. So I like working with other media. I work with animators and documentary people and people making films. People do live sound. We do live soundtracks for films sometimes. So people for experimental films and stuff, like artists in live venues in London, like Super 8 films and stuff. I'm happy doing all kinds of different things, and that's one I wouldn't want to be like. I don't really want to be sort of stuck in one role.
Thank you, Matt, for the introduction. So I'll start off with the first question that I had for you today. So we are living in unprecedented times. These are
Yes.
situations that none of us, I think, at least in our lifetimes, have ever faced. Now, as artists, be it musicians or visual artists, we are sort of in the event business in the sense that we need a physical space. We need a number of people, getting together under the same roof. And that's the only way that we have traditionally performed and presented our art forms to the audience. With that not being a possibility in the foreseeable future, how do you think artists are, earning, or how do these income streams sort of change and evolve over a period of time in this kind of a scenario?
Yeah, that's a tough question because I've been thinking about it. Obviously, more and more as this goes on. It's about 2 months now that London's been locked down. Until there's a vaccine or a way of controlling, a way of kind of like being safe. It's going to be, we're kind of stuck in this for a little bit. We can't afford to just go back to life as normal very soon, anytime soon. Yeah, it's really hard to know how it's going to evolve. So how to predict? I mean, lots of musicians have been doing things online, myself included, have just been making the music the same way they do. They stay in their apartment, they play music, they use software to link up with other musicians. There's a lot of discussion in the first couple of weeks. There's a lot of discussion how to do that, and we're still working on finding the right way to do that, so we can play with other musicians online, or to make sound things. I mean, obviously, you can do things. You can do things on your own, like film scores and things like that. Things for animation. There's no problem doing that in theory, except for if you want to record something, you have to do everything kind of online for those kind of things. So like your cinema will have to be your online cinema rather than your cinema. You can't open movie theaters. You can't have people all gathering there. So you have so easily anyway. So you have to. But we all have screens now. So it's different from like 100 years ago when there was no one had internet and they couldn't communicate at all very easily without to do. So yeah, how is it going to change? I mean, that's it. We're kind of going to be working online, going to be doing things online, working out how to send music to each other. Working out how to play together. Maybe there'll be maybe we'll be able to broadcast small concerts. Maybe it'll be safe enough to have like a group of musicians together playing, but not the audience, and have it filmed and broadcast online. I mean, there's always been radio. There's always been some things that have not needed to be, close contact events, close contact. For sound, maybe for sound and music. Maybe that's easier, in fact, in a way, than for visual art, where you want people to kind of get together. But at the same time, visual art, you can show people paintings and you can show people sculptures, and you can, they can be in places, they can be installed in places, and people can visit them one at a time, or they can, they can be open air public places and stuff like that. And that's okay. So yeah, we all have to. You've asked me this question, and it's so new now. I'm sure that I will probably sound foolish very soon. My answers to any of this, I'll sound naive and foolish, because it will become more and more obvious what's possible and what isn't as it goes on, and people will be creatively, hopefully, trying to find solutions to it. I mean, that's one of the things that art is supposed to be about, is finding creative ways to live and find creative solutions and ways to enrich life and to do life well. And I don't think of art as being kind of like something that you do in an isolation from the rest of the world and kind of present to the world as a finished fait accompli, a finished product, and the world kind of absorbs it and is passive about it. I think that part of trying to find the solutions to these things are part of the process of art, and that's as important, often more important than the actual any finished product that you come up with at the end. A piece of music, or a piece of sound art, or a piece of visual art, or something like that, or a film, or whatever. All those things are the kind of products of art, but actually they're all about enriching life in a way. Finding the solution around this is part of the process of art. Finding a way to do it well, and to communicate with people, and to give people. In fact, it's more important than it's more important to do that, to wake people up, to make people realize that you can still get past this barrier of the fact that we can't all just be in a room together. Find creative ways around that is a challenge, and we all have to try and work out how we're going to do that. Yeah, I mean, monetizing it or making a living out of it, or those kind of things is I think it's always been secondary in some way, in that people will only when people feel that it's enriching their lives, then they will hopefully contribute to it and want to buy into it and want to fund it and appreciate it. It's appreciation, you don't make money out of art. You don't make a living out of art unless people actually appreciate that you're improving their life somehow, their world somehow, or helping them improve it, or whatever. I don't know.
You run a music space, I think you mentioned. Is that a studio?
Yeah, it was never my physical. It was never our physical space. We were always in other people's places. So we were always we would travel. In fact, we had lots of different spaces in London. So it was like a kind of like, we were like curators, I suppose, of a moving exhibition, rather than kind of like owners of a gallery.
So do you think that this is sort of like a blessing in disguise, maybe, that whenever we the traditional method, so for example, you were curating content and it was a sort of, like you said, it was a moving exhibition. There was a limited reach when it comes to an audience who could listen to your performances or be an audience to whatever work that you are presenting. Now that you say that online is something that everyone is shifting towards, do you think your reach has gone up, and therefore possibly the monetization will probably become somewhat easier?
Reach has definitely gone down, because I perform a lot live, so and I travel and perform, so reach has definitely gone down. The venues that I would normally perform in are normally live venues. So at the moment it's gone down. I mean I have a YouTube channel and I have a website, and they've always been kind of like, there's always been an online presence there, but I don't get, it doesn't generate any direct income for me to do that. So it could be a blessing in disguise in some ways for small artists. Maybe it could be in terms of in the way that kind of MySpace and music channels kind of introduced a lot of small artists. So it's I mean that's always been the case for the internet since the internet, since the last since the internet was kind of widespread and became a thing. It's affected the music and sound and film industries and things like that a lot.
Said those are the two questions that we had for you tonight.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much, Matt, for spending time with us.
Deixa eu ver aqui.